As a digital nomad, I'm fascinated by destinations that combine tropical holiday vibes with productive spaces to work and meet like-minded people. Bali is obviously the epitome of this, a holiday island transformed into the hottest remote work destination in the world. But let's face it, Bali is now becoming a victim of its own success, with hundreds upon hundreds of digital nomads now crowding the island. And don't get me wrong, I still love Bali, but if you've hung out in this community long enough, you might have heard people talk about the new Bali, referring to destinations with the potential to be what Bali was. The Bali of about 5 years ago, when a lot of people agree it was at more of a sweet spot in terms of its development. So far, I'm yet to discover this elusive new Bali, but here in Brazil, there's a vacation hotspot that's trying to make a name for itself in the digital nomad community. And seeing I'm only about a 2-hour drive away, I might as well go check it out. Anyways, I gotta pack before my driver gets here. Let's go to Pipa. So where exactly is Pipa? If we take a look at the map, we can find Pipa right here, located in the northeast of Brazil, in between the cities of Natal and João Pessoa. If you're not already in the country, you can fly into the nearby Natal airport via Buenos Aires, Argentina, or Lisbon, Portugal. For me, as I was already visiting nearby João Pessoa, it was just an easy 2-hour drive north. Alright, we have arrived at Mirante de Pipa Nomad Ville. I got quite a few bags on me, so I'm going to check in and I'll show you around. So the reason I chose to stay at this place, Mirante de Pipa Nomad Ville, is because this place markets specifically to digital nomads, with the Sunset Bar doubling as a co-working space. So in order to get the full digital nomad experience, I decided to stay in one of these places, and I also convinced a friend from Rio to come up and try this place out as well. All right, Paty has finally arrived. We're gonna share a few caipirinhas here at Umi. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm super excited to enjoying the nomad life. So yeah, so I'm in.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
That night, I took Paty to her first ever digital nomad meetup in Chapadão. The digital nomad community in Pipa has a group chat on WhatsApp and posted a meetup for that night. But given we'd only just arrived in Pipa, neither of us knew what Chapadão was and were a bit surprised to be dropped off in complete darkness. Eventually, we found the group sitting on the beach and realized that Chapadão was simply a beachside lookout on top of a cliff that during the day looks like this. So yeah, if you're coming here at night, definitely be careful of the drops. Back at Mirante de Pipa, before I met up with Paty, I went to go check out the co-working space, or at least what I thought was the co-working space. After walking up to the bar, I sat down and tested the Wi-Fi, but something wasn't right. True to its name, the Sunset Bar was legitimately a spot to watch sunset and drink cocktails with friends and family, not a place to work. And with no one to ask in English, I left the Sunset Bar in confusion. I later found out that the lower deck is where the quote-unquote co-working space is when I arrived the next day to find people on their computers. While the internet is fast and there's no shortage of outlets, if you've worked from a spot like this before, you will know that the heat, glare, and insects can make working from an open deck like this kinda uncomfortable. Despite claiming to be the perfect combination of a paradisiacal location and an environment conducive to your professional success, I lasted about 1 day working from the lower deck, until the bugs got the better of me, and I decided to move the table in my chalet indoors in order to get comfortable enough to work properly. One thing you'll find out quickly in Pipa if you visit other quote-unquote co-working spaces is that such a thing really doesn't exist in Pipa, at least not at the time of recording. In Pipa, co-working is just anywhere with internet and outlets, and despite trying out a bunch of different options, some better than others, the one thing that was missing from all of them was air conditioning. So if you plan on co-working in Pipa, get ready to sweat it out because the heat is unavoidable during the day. All of that being said though, Pipa is still a paradise, and there's of course plenty to do outside of work. I recommend booking accommodation close to the center of Pipa, just next to the main beach of Praia de Pipa. The main artery of the town is Avenida Baia dos Golfinhos, where you can find countless restaurants and bars. Most days during lunchtime, I would head into one of these self-service eateries, which are a mix of churrascaria and buffet. A very affordable, quick and filling lunch, and then in the evenings I would check out some of the more upmarket but still casual dinner options around Centro. If you're into partying, there are different bars often playing different kinds of music on different nights, Agora being a good example of this. We checked out Agora on Monday and Friday. Monday they were playing forró music, and on Friday, house and techno. We also checked out a bar called Taipa on a Tuesday night for some reggae music, and yes, drinking many caipirinhas along the way, which are so affordable in Pipa. For as little as $1.50 US, you can grab one of these famous drinks in Brazil, walk the streets and soak up the energy of the town. As an Australian especially, I really appreciate the ability to drink in public, and Pipa is the perfect place to do it, with crowds and free performances all along Avenida Baia dos Golfinhos. Pipa is also well known for some festivals at certain times of the year, and during our stay was Playa Pipa, a 3-day festival with each night focusing on a different genre of music. While the house music night was my favorite, I was so surprised to see the front of the dance floor virtually empty, even after midnight, which at least gave Paty and I a lot of room to dance. Finally, speaking about parties, you can't leave Pipa without experiencing the famous Pipa boat party, which I think you can kind of guess what it's all about just from the name and some of this footage. Alright, so we've had our fun, let's get back to our regular routine, which for many of us includes going to the gym. The most famous in the Nomad community here in Pipa is Cross Pipa, which offers daily CrossFit classes popular with foreign tourists, but we also checked out another one closer to Mirante de Pipa called Academia Performance, which, as you can see, wasn't the most modern or well-equipped gym. Wrapping up our little overview of Pipa here, I would highly recommend doing some sort of tour along the coastline. Paty and I took a quad tour from Pipa Centro all the way down to Barra do Cunhaú and back during sunset, and the landscapes were honestly incredible. Well worth it for just 300 reais per quad. And finally, you'll want to check out Baia dos Golfinhos, literally the Bay of Dolphins, where I guarantee we definitely saw some dolphins, even though we weren't able to capture them on video. Just make sure to visit when the tide is low enough, otherwise you won't be able to walk over from the next door beaches. Alright guys, so that concludes our little trip to Pipa. Paty, what did you think? Your first time being a digital nomad? What did you think of Pipa?
It was great experience, I guess, because I work it and at the same time I'm enjoying a little bit, so yeah, works for me actually.
Pipa as a destination, beautiful place. I mean, look at where we are right now. Studying the beaches, the food was great, it was easy to get around most of the time, lots of beautiful places, affordable. All of those things are great. I just can't say it's a great digital nomad destination because basically been sold big claims from Mirante de Pipa, Nomadville, and Nomad's Village, but essentially these digital nomad spaces that have been set up are just spaces within existing hotels that have been rebranded to be digital nomad places. Unfortunately, there's no dedicated co-working space here, which I would like to see. There's been some talks of it. I think it's a great destination, don't get me wrong, but there's no centralized point to work remotely, productively, with air conditioning. So I think if they made that, then people would be complete. Any final thoughts, Paty?
I'm not like nomad, I'm just trying, this experience a little bit, but yeah, maybe I just said, like, I feel like I miss some AC, AC place because it's so hot in here. So, and comfortable chairs as well, yeah, this kind of things. But for me, it's still good. But yeah, for sure, you had more experience than me. You can say better about this.
It's like that cliche photo that you see of people on the beach working on their computers and it looks picturesque, but then those people are dealing with glare, lack of electricity, it's hot, bugs, and we experienced like all that sort of stuff on this trip. So yeah, I like places that are both productive and paradise like this. Unfortunately, definitely not the next Bali or the new Bali, maybe in years from now, who knows. It was a cool experience. As you guys can probably tell, I'm not posting a lot on YouTube these days, so if you want to keep up to date with everything, all the travels, what I'm up to, definitely follow me on Instagram. It's just Chris the Freelancer. And also, I finally cracked 200 followers on TikTok at last. I know there's 85,000 or so of you guys watching on YouTube, so surely some of you guys are going to be on TikTok, so go find me on TikTok. I'll put Paty's Instagram on screen as well if you want to go follow her.
Yeah, follow me.
She's actually pretty famous on TikTok herself.
Yeah. I didn't post yet, but yeah, I still have some content, nice content.
Yeah, and otherwise, guys, I will see you in the next video. So, hope you enjoyed Pipa. Catch you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.